Set myself free. I only found everything lights.
Hey, what is going on, guys? This is DJ Clan Smasher, and before I begin, I just wanted to let you know, if you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe, because I'm here to give you the most quality content that I can possibly give you. So I try to give you some CWO content, how-to attacks, and all of the good stuff. So anyways, guys, for today, I am going to focus on 10v11s. In the background, you will see some 10v11 hits, but the main thing is just kind of talking to you about what I look for when I do 10v11 hits, and just trying to figure out the weaknesses. So for instance, in this base right here, SHK found the weakness, pretty much did a lot low because realized that could get through that first portion of the air defense and be able to take care of that Inferno. Luckily, was also able to take care of the Archer Queen, which was a bonus. And then sends in the King and the Queen on the top section at 9 o'clock just to create that funnel. But anyways, as this attack is going, guys, you're going to see how creative it gets. The main thing is what I look for when I barely look at a base is I check to see if there's any weaknesses. So for instance, are the expos on ground or air? So that's going to be a big influence, because if they're all on ground, that's going to make me think maybe I should do an air attack. If they're all on air, then that's going to make me think, depending on how far the expos are at, what their range is, things like that. So for instance, if I see that the expo is, there's only going to be 1 or 2 expos that I might be dealing with, and not too many single point defenses, and the Infernos are not too far on the outside where it'll make it inconvenient for my Queen to walk, then I'll most likely do a Queen walk and try to do like a Valk dive or something. But if I see that all the expos are kind of like real close to each other, as far as where I can't really walk anywhere because there's so many single point defenses, and if I were to do a Queen walk, because there's like 4 or 5 point defenses including the expo, then maybe I might not do a Queen walk. The other thing that I also look at are buildings. So for instance, if I see a bunch of buildings touching each other, and I do notice that the boulders will get a great value when it comes to the boulder bounce, I will do pretty much a golem boulder attack. So what I'll do is I'll send in a golem on one side, 5 boulders right behind it, send in a rage spell so I can get real great value when it comes to that boulder bounce. And then I pretty much do the same thing on the opposite side, and then I go in with a golem or 2 with a bunch of boulders right in the middle and approach 1 Inferno at a time depending on the base. And then after that I can get to the base, deal with 1 Inferno, and then just boulder bounce my way through to get the 50%. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, guys, so when I also look at a base and I come up with a plan, I count the buildings. So I calculated the buildings, guys, and usually I already knew that it was between 44 and 45, but I couldn't find anywhere, and I mean anywhere. I did a pretty good amount of research. It didn't really say how many buildings total there were. So I counted them out, and I counted a total of 92 buildings. If anybody knows the exact amount, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I counted these right. So I found 92 buildings total. So if you divide that by 2, that means 46 buildings, guys. This is including the bomb towers, and assuming that the person has 5 builder huts. So it's always important to know that, because if you know how many buildings you have to take down to get the 50%, then you can calculate what your troops are capable of. So for instance, if I'm doing a Bewitch, not a Bewitch, so if I'm doing a boulder golem attack, like, you know, what I will do is I'll count how many buildings I could potentially take down with 1 portion, then the second portion, and then making sure that I can get to the town hall and seeing if including the town hall it'll be at least 50%. Because I think the problem with a lot of people who do 10v11s is they come up with a great plan, everything works out, they get the town hall, but then they're short on percentage, and it's because they didn't count the amount of buildings that they took down. So that is one of the main problems that a lot of people have. So make sure you count the buildings, count how many buildings you can take down. If you count 46 and you know you can take down the 46 and the town hall, you're pretty much golden. And when it comes to 10v11s, you can get super creative. As you can see, Big John here is showing you a real awesome attack. Did a La Lune portion, and then after that it just takes care of the Lava Hound with a Hog Rider by pulling the CC with the Hog Rider, and then sends a nice poison spell right on top of the baby dragon to be able to take care of the pups. and then after that I can just break in with the heroes to be able to take care of the town hall. As you can see, counted the buildings, was able to take care of a good chunk of buildings before sending in the heroes. So so as far as the percentage goes, Big John already knew that he was gonna take care of the percentage. So now the main point was to get to that town hall. So as you can see, created a real nice funnel for the heroes to make sure to go to the town hall. The king's gonna take some hits while the queen is just sniping the town hall, so that's the main purpose. And of course you want to make sure you send test wall breakers. So anyways guys, the other questions that I ask are the air defenses well protected or not? And what I mean by that is, if the air defense is like deep inside the base but still far enough outside where it could potentially snipe your healers, it might not be ideal to start the queen walker on that section unless you do it a little bit differently. Where you send in the healers a little bit farther up, because you got to keep in mind the healers are going to drag. So what that means is, as your queen is walking, those healers are going to slowly start creeping up to the inner parts of the defenses. So if there's any archer towers or expos that will stop shooting your queen but your queen can't reach, they will start targeting your healers. So that's also an important thing to keep in mind. So making sure that you can get a good value with the queen walk. I usually try to aim for at least 20%. More is usually better, especially if you can create a nice funnel. Then after that I try to break in with just like how Crouch is going to do here, with a king and a few Valks, or I usually tend to do king and bowlers with a nice rage spell just to kind of create a nice funnel, and then after that just place a jump spell and then just do the Valk dive. So anyways guys, those are the main things that I look for. The other thing that I also look at is if the infernals, like I was mentioning before, are past the wall. So what that means is, like for instance, I click on the inferno, and if the inferno is touching the outer parts of where I'm trying to walk, I keep that in mind, because if my queen's gonna walk there, they're not gonna be healed while they're under the inferno unless I use the power. So then I try to keep in mind, is it worth me using the queen ability on this specific base, or should I do a different attack? So what I'll do is I'll see how long she's going to be under fire with the inferno on all the single point defenses, and sometimes I'll send in a rage spell, that way she can get through those buildings pretty quickly and get out of the inferno and be able to get rehealed. Or I'll use a few rage spells before getting there, and I'll use the queen ability, that way she takes care of everything, is rehealed, and then is able to keep walking with the queen walk. So that's another thing to keep in mind as far as doing a queen walk. And let's see, what else do I have for you guys? The other thing is, like for instance, if you do use dragons, what I look at is, if I do use dragons on one specific side, will they make it to the core? Or are there too many defenses or air defenses that are going to be targeting my dragons? So that's one thing to keep in mind. And you also got to keep in mind how many buildings you take down, because sometimes what I'll see is everyone sends in their dragons, they take care of the town hall, but then you end up just getting like 40% or 45%. So very important to count the buildings, guys, and then just checking to see if you're going to use dragons. Is it going to be a valuable way to use the dragons, or will you not get enough defenses? And then when it comes to Valks, also keeping in mind all the big bombs they could potentially deal with. So the other thing would be, will my Valks be able to take care of the town hall before they hit all the other big bombs? For instance, in this case, this one's a little risky, because as you can see, there's a lot of space in between the infernals and the town hall. So you know that the Valkyries are going to dive in there, deal some with some splash damage as far as the big bombs, and they're going to go for the bomb towers after they take care of some of the buildings. So in this case, Crouch places a rage spell, which is good, and then the Valks go straight to the middle, and then take care of the town hall, and then died off pretty quickly, as you can tell, because the Valks had to deal with a lot of big bombs. So that's always important to keep in mind. So hopefully this helps you guys figure out how to attack 10v11s a lot better. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to keep calm and clash on. Bye bye.